Tonight, up in flames.
And he said somebody put fire in the dealership and the cars are burning.
Luxury vehicles on a Kitchener lot hit by an arsonist.
He targeted the most expensive cars on the dealership.
The clues the criminal left on camera. Time for change at Conestoga College.
I think it's time now, after this amount of time, that a change of position, a change of perspective is due.
Why a search for a new president and CEO is now underway. Inside the live streams.
Probably between 200 plus games happening here on a Saturday that everyone around the room is monitoring.
The Waterloo-based headquarters for a big new chapter.
It's really exciting getting these two junior high-quality leagues under our platform.
In junior hockey coverage. Good evening. We begin tonight with what police believe was an arsonist burning high-end cars outside a dealership in Kitchener over the weekend and leaving a series of clues on camera. CTV's Hannah Schmidt now with the video and details on the criminal investigation that's now unfolding.
A scene of devastation at a Kitchener dealership after flames tore through luxury vehicles shortly before 4 a.m. Saturday.
My cell phone was ringing, so I woke up. I was at home. One of my employees, he called us and he said somebody put fire in the dealership and the cars are burning.
What was once a row of sleek, high-performance vehicles, now nothing but twisted metal and charred frames.
It was a big, shocking thing for us.
Surveillance video from Extreme Motors Limited shows an individual dousing cars with fuel before igniting them, almost catching themselves on fire in the process.
He was wearing black clothes and stuff, but he was covered. You cannot see his face. So he had a big jerry can in his hand and he came directly in front of our dealership and he targeted the most expensive cars on the dealership.
In total, 6 vehicles were destroyed, including a Mustang, a Maserati, and a Mercedes. Damage is pegged at around $250,000.
We were finally coming back to your feet, you're working hard and all those things, and you don't want these kind of things happen.
The suspect was seen fleeing in what Con described as a light blue Toyota RAV4. He noted that in surveillance footage captured about an hour earlier, the same vehicle was seen driving by the business.
They came the first time 2:30, but there was some traffic on the road and the side they didn't, and then they came back at 3:45. Then they circle around and then 3:48.
Waterloo Regional Police say they are investigating this as arson. No physical injuries have been reported. The dealership says this is the second time it has been the target of arson. The first incident happened in 2013, where they faced $300,000 in damages.
We will still look into that investigation to see if maybe there's any type of potential, and that's all part of what the investigators are doing at this time.
In response to this latest incident, the business has offered a $10,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible.
I would like to give $10,000 rewards to those people who will help police to get these guys caught.
Despite the loss, Con says Saturday's incident isn't slowing them down, and it's business as usual, though they're rethinking safety and whether displaying vehicles outside is worth the risk.
Tomorrow it could happen to another one. I don't want anybody to get hurt because we all work really hard.
Hannah Schmidt, CTV News, Kitchener.
The province's Special Investigations Unit's been called in to get to the bottom of what unfolded at a Toronto home. It began with a disturbance call, and it ended with officers deploying a taser. The man who was hit did not survive. CTV's John Musselman reports.
Police were called to this home near Finch and Keele on Sunday evening just after 5:30. There was an interaction with a 32-year-old man inside. Police said Sunday he was armed with a knife and a taser was used to subdue him. This man lives across the street and he describes what he saw.
I saw someone across the street on the veranda. Looked like he was banging on the door or something. It wasn't until then the police started showing up because they pulled into my driveway with the lights flashing and then backed out and started parking. Then I got up to look, and that's when I saw 2 of the residents there, they're renters. One was shirtless and a woman Already the police were already talking to them.
Police say the man was handcuffed after the taser was deployed, and shortly after, the man went into medical distress. First aid was administered, but the man died at the scene.
We were inside the house when I saw they see all those police there, all those kind of police.
Investigators with the province's Special Investigations Unit say they will review officer body camera footage to determine what happened.
These are things that we're going to be looking at. Did the taser play a role in this man's death? Was there any type of physical struggle that might have contributed? Were there drugs in his system?
Investigators say the victim lived in the lower level of the home for the past few months. Neighbors say the home is a rental property, and police have been here before regarding noise complaints. This woman, who did not want to appear on camera, says it's an ongoing problem.
Yelling, screaming. Nighttime, there's always Friday, Saturday parties, drinking, running till 4 in the morning.
Police say other residents were home when this happened. The SIU says a knife was recovered at the scene.
However, how that knife may or may not have played a role is under investigation. As I said, we have not yet reviewed the body-worn camera footage, and witnesses are still being interviewed at this time.
The name of the victim has not been released. An autopsy will be conducted tomorrow to try and determine the exact cause of death.
And that report from CTV's John Musselman. Okay, time now for a first check on the weather. Let's head over to Alex Pinto here in studio. Second week of September, beautiful start to it. And you made a good point at 5. Summer's not over yet.
Summer is not over yet. We have exactly 2 weeks until the start of fall. So we are soaking up all of that sunshine and the summer-like weather, even though it's feeling a little bit cooler than what we saw earlier in the season. But again, we were dealing with extreme heat and humidity. So this is actually quite a nice break. As we look at our satellite and radar map, not too much activity to report here. We are seeing mainly clear skies, maybe just a couple of clouds out there. Nice blue sky with that sunshine still shining down rather. 18 it is right now in Kitchener-Waterloo. Our expected high for today, 19 degrees. Not sure if we're going to be hitting that at this point. Something to keep an eye throughout the hour. 16 in Mount Forest and also 16 in Goderich. So slightly cooler to conditions there. And this is slightly below seasonal as well. But it looks like that sun is expected to stick around over several days. We're going to break it down in your full forecast coming up a little bit later. Tony.
Alex, thank you so much. We'll talk to you shortly. After nearly 40 years at the helm of Conestoga College, John Tibbet's time as president is coming to an end. The first steps are being taken in the search for a successor, who they hope to have in place by next March. CTV's Krista Simpson joining us with what we know so far about this story. Krista.
Well, Tony, the announcement was made internally to college staff today. Under Tibbet's leadership, the school has grown significantly, but it has also faced numerous criticisms.
The search is starting for a new leader at Conestoga College. The board of directors telling staff in an internal notice they are looking for a firm to help them recruit the next president and CEO.
I think it's time now, after this amount of time, that a change of position, a change of perspective is due.
John Tibbets has been president of Conestoga College since 1987. According to the Ontario Sunshine List, in 2023, he made just under $495,000. The next year, that amount jumped to just over $636,000. Back in March, the Board of Governors announced Tibbets' contract had been extended to the end of 2026, but also noted that they were planning a path for succession. Now, the board says they're aiming to have a new president and CEO appointed in March 2026.
These kinds of things don't always go exactly to time scale or schedule, so that date of March may or may not come to pass.
Under Tibbets, the college saw its enrollment numbers soar, largely due to international students. But it also faced criticism that it had grown too fast and the community wasn't able to support so many students. Since the introduction of international student caps by the federal government, Conestoga has seen its enrollment numbers drop. And there have been layoffs and program cuts, including some as the new semester was just starting.
Students came to orientation and were told, guess what, your program's suspended.
Tibbets also made headlines in 2024 when he used colorful language in a public spat with Sioux College's president. It led to a defamation lawsuit and calls for Tibbets to retire, all adding to the pressure felt by those who work at the school.
The last year has been extremely challenging.
The announcement of the search for a new president is also happening under the shadow of a potential strike by full-time support staff. 10,000 employees of colleges across Ontario could walk off the job on Thursday.
They go from lab technology and managing and running labs to regular librarian services to counseling and supporting individual students who have special needs in learning.
If a strike happens, class cancellations aren't anticipated at this point, but there will be other disruptions. Some classes could move online and services will be reduced, like shorter hours at a help desk or less tutoring.
Where we see significant impact potentially is in the lab work. And so it would be a challenge for some of the colleges to find alternatives to that lab work. And so some of those labs will be pushed out further in the term, assuming that we can get something done and save the term.
The College Employer Council says OPSU, the union representing those workers, is asking there be no campus closures or mergers and a moratorium on any staff reductions for at least 3 years. Requests the council says colleges find simply unacceptable as they continue to manage the fallout of the international student caps. OPSU did not respond to our request for comment on that. Now, both sides are scheduled to be back at the bargaining table tomorrow and Wednesday, so there is still time to reach an agreement ahead of Thursday's strike deadline. Tony.
Krista Simpson reporting live for us tonight. Krista, thank you for that. More bad news today for workers at the Cami plant in Ingersoll. The plant shut down this spring, and today GM announced it will not reopen until mid-November at the earliest. Making matters worse, there will be even more layoffs than expected. CTV's Brian Bicknell reports.
Cami began producing the Bright Drop delivery van in 2022, but that new era in EV production in Canada has now turned to new disappointments for those who make the vehicle.
And when we do come back to work, it's only going to be one shift.
Cami went on shutdown this past spring with sales of the Bright Drop not as robust as expected. Unifor Local 88, which represents workers at the plant, says it has been informed by GM the plant will reopen mid-November with just 400 people. That's down from 1,050 and significantly less than the 600 union officials expected would be back.
There'll be layoffs. We've gone through the company right now to talk about retirement incentives. Anybody who may want to quit, give them some money and hopefully narrow our numbers down. But it's going to be tough on hundreds of people.
In a written response to CTV News, GM says this is not related to tariffs. We are taking proactive, strategic steps to ensure our operations remain aligned with real-time demand.
I think it's certainly a continuation of the reason why the layoff happened in the first place of slower sales, but there's a lot of things that are going on, certainly south of the border, that don't help the situation. I know that there's cancellations of shifts at their Detroit plan as well, so this is not just an Ingersoll item, it's an overall economic situation.
The news coming as the federal government announces it's delaying a plan to force automakers to hit minimum sales levels for EVs. GM says it welcomes this first step to align regulations to consumer demand. Adding insult to injury, this brand new battery plant built on site at Cami specifically to produce batteries for the Bright Drop vehicles will sit idle for the foreseeable future, with batteries to equip the vehicles coming from south of the border, according to Unifor.
We are the only battery plant in Canada for GM, and we won't be building them, so they're going to come from, I'm assuming 99% sure it's going to come out of the U.S., which just shows you exactly what's going on with the tariffs.
That one's going to hurt.
That's going to hurt hard.
GM says the battery plant shutdown is part of a temporary adjustment to align production to consumer demands and manage battery levels. Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
The way to watch junior hockey games in Canada is changing, and in a sense, it's happening right here in Waterloo Region. Streaming service Flow Sports has acquired the rights to games in the OHL and the QMJHL, and they'll be showcasing major junior hockey all winter. Let's bring in CTV's Colton Weens for this story. More on the local connection and really what this means for fans as well, Colton.
Well, Tony, for anyone watching on TV, nothing really changes. But through Flow Hockey, fans can now stream every OHL and QMJHL regular season and playoff game online, along with 23 other professional junior and minor hockey leagues in North America, and it's all being monitored right here in Waterloo Region. It's the calm before the storm, but in just over a week, this room will be full of staff monitoring hundreds of hockey games across North America.
Probably between 200 plus games happening here on a Saturday that everyone around the room is monitoring and making sure that's looking good for the customer.
Flow Sports in Waterloo is getting set to be the online streaming platform for all OHL and QMJHL hockey in Canada, after the service signed a 7-year deal with both leagues.
Finally coming to that resolution was so important, I think, just for the landscape of media and hockey in general, because we can really set the tone for what we want to do with those leagues moving forward.
But what does this mean for hockey fans locally? Rogers, Eastlink, and Cogeco will still be covering the OHL on television, but for an annual fee of about $199, Flow Sports will carry those broadcasts on their service while also offering coverage of 23 other hockey leagues and events in North America.
You'll get the OHL and you'll be able to watch here in town the Kitchener Rangers, the Guelph Storm, the London Knights, but you'll also be able to see great hockey that we've already been showing with the AHL, the ECHL, Junior B here in town.
The idea started with Mark Floriani and his brother, the former D1 NCAA athletes in track and field and wrestling, started Flow Sports to try and bring better production to less commonly covered events. Its headquarters are in Texas, but when the company purchased Waterloo-based Hockey Tech, it opened its Canadian headquarters and expanded on the ice.
We're obviously not needed on the NHL level, but underneath the NHL, we thought that there was a need to consolidate all of these leagues to make a good price, a good offering at as low a price as possible for all of these leagues.
Flow Sports also does its own productions and carries a wide variety of other sports, saying all of it can be accessed.
Just because you're a hockey fan doesn't necessarily mean you're just a hockey fan. You can go watch Flow Racing, you can go watch Flow College, any of that sort of stuff.
In Canada, you get the Tour de France, you get the Giro, you get 1,000 events of motorsports. We have 50,000 events of all sports. You get that for the one subscription.
Now, Flow Sports doesn't have the rights to the Western Hockey League or the Memorial Cup, but say they're always exploring ways to expand what they offer to customers. The service is also available on basically all smartphones, TVs, and online. Tony.
And that season's getting close. Okay, Colton, thanks so much. CTV's Colton Weens live with that story for us. And don't forget to start your day with our CTV Kitchener newsletter. The best content from our newsroom right to your inbox, the top stories, the forecast, and some must-see videos. Sign up at ctvnewskitchener.ca. Well, before summer comes to an official end, we've got some new data about how sizzling a season it was. Coming up later, CTV's Karis Map with the local report card on how far you have to look back to have beaten this heat.
I'm Ashley Bacon. Neighbors and residents in this Waterloo neighborhood are voicing their concerns over noise after a backup generator at the back of Bridgeport Plaza has been running non-stop for nearly 2 weeks. That story just ahead.
Nice to see that sunshine to start off the work and school week. I'll let you know just how cool it could get in terms of our overnight lows this week and your full forecast coming up.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We go to a dramatic scene unfolding.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. ctvkitchener.ca, your home for news. When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
People in a Waterloo neighborhood are speaking out about what they say is non-stop noise that's been going on for almost 2 weeks. It's coming from a backup generator that's been set up behind the Bridgeport Plaza. And that's where we find CTV's Ashley Bacon to tell us more about this tonight. And Ashley, people are telling you that this situation hasn't really improved.
That's right, Tony. The backup generator behind me has been operating at the back of Bridgeport Plaza for around 13 days. And according to the residents around here, it means noise has been non-stop since it started. Now they're calling on the city of Waterloo to make changes.
As you can see, our places are right there, and then the generator is right here. really close.
Since August 29th, residents along Brighton Lane in Waterloo have been listening to the loud humming coming from this backup generator.
You know, can hear this constant humming. Even from our kitchen, you can kind of feel the vibration sometimes of the backup generator.
Her room is just on this side of our house too, so having a 5-year-old listening to this throughout the entire night is really disruptive.
It's just constant noise when we're at the dining room table, when I'm trying to work from home. Yeah, it's been quite disruptive.
The generator is located at the back of Bridgeport Plaza, which faces a row of houses along Brighton Lane. The City of Waterloo's bylaw department says they've been monitoring the situation closely, adding, "Our understanding is that there is damage to the electrical system at the property, which required the use of a generator on a temporary basis."
A feel for what it sounds like just even being out on our porch, so.
Now, nearly 2 weeks later, neighbors are fed up with the lack of communication from property management.
We have been patient, and now we're not being patient anymore. We need action, and we need to know what steps they're going to take to ensure that, A, this doesn't happen again, and like you said, B, what's the long-term goal?
In the short term, the neighbors want the noise to stop, but they're looking for a more permanent solution in the long run.
We would love to have a sound barrier erected at the back of the plaza to prevent the noise pollution.
I also wonder, are there other generator options that aren't so loud or smelly? Is there solar generation that we can work on? Is there another way of powering the plaza?
Now, as you can hear and see over my shoulder here, the generator is still up and running as of this evening. Now, with CTV News reached out to First Capital, they're listed online as property management for Bridgeport Plaza. For a comment, they did not reach back out to us before going to air. Tony.
Okay, Ashley, appreciate that. Thank you so much. CTV's Ashley Bacon joining us live from the Bridgeport and Weber area of Waterloo. A small but growing number of young teens dealing with online gambling problems is setting off calls for stronger regulations. As CTV's Pauline Chan tells us, legalized online gambling has turned any smartphone into a betting platform for anyone.
About 18 months after single-event sports betting was legalized across Canada in August 2021, Dr. Sean Kelly says he began seeing adolescents, mainly boys, coming in with online gambling-related problems.
It tends to be at the lower end, 12 to 13, all the way up to their young 20s.
But the thing that really drove home how influential online gambling ads are was an incident with one of his own kids.
Asked me what the difference between plus minus and an over-under was. And that was, hearing that from a 7-year-old made me become keenly aware of who was being affected by these advertisements.
And while there are restrictions on who can participate in online betting,
just like all adult-oriented online content, keeping youth away from it has yet to be effective in certain spaces.
Dr. Kelly says the harms tend to be mostly financial, but also things like substance use, anxiety, and depression can result.
I'm very concerned that suicidal behavior may seem like a reasonable solution to a financial problem that they have caused for themselves and their families.
The Canadian Medical Association Journal says we can't wait for a rash of severe results like teen suicides before acting on the problem of teen online gambling. And they're supporting a new bill to create a framework of stronger restrictions.
Number of advertisements per segment, number of advertisements per broadcast, there's a whole bunch of different ways that this could be measured and addressed.
Bill 211 passed its second reading in the Senate in June, but the CMAJ says it's just a first step. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
We have a live look outside now near Brighton Lane in Waterloo on what has really turned into a beautiful Monday evening. Yeah, 2 more weeks of summer left and enjoying some summer-like warmth out there this week, although the nights have certainly been getting cooler, haven't they, and the mornings as well. We'll join Alex in just a couple of moments to find out what the rest of the week has in store for us weather-wise. Also coming up, a Guelph-based jewelry shop where every piece tells a distinct story. That's our focus on this week's edition of Made Right Here. But next, how hot was it? The local numbers showing that this summer smashed decades of previous ones. Alex is with us now for a look at our 7-day forecast, which is going to take us a week closer to fall.
Yes.
And I did mention it still feels like summer, but I do have to say those evenings and mornings, boy, they're getting noticeably cooler, aren't they?
And
single digits.
Single digits, and especially over the weekend, too. I was telling Leanne during the 5, I had to bring the jacket back out. Not quite the jacket, but the sweater-jacket combo.
Oh, I was about to ask you what you mean by that. Okay, okay.
Which, hey, I'm not going to complain about. I'm a big, fan of that. But it's kind of nice to layer up a little bit. It's nice to get that cool breeze, but it did feel just a little too cool, comfort, if you will.
I mean, it was bad enough that we started to see the leaves changing color in August this year, but not quite ready to let go of summer yet. But I mean, eventually, it is September.
Yes, and we still have a couple of weeks. So 2 Mondays from now, that is going to be the official start of fall. So while we enjoy the last remaining weeks of summer, we're going to take a live look outside. That sun's still shining. We are seeing pretty much nice, clear blue sky. Just a few clouds out there this hour as we take a live look from Waterloo. So not too bad condition-wise out there today. Slightly warmer compared to, what we saw over the weekend and some days last week as well. But the overnight lows, this is when conditions are really going to dip down. And we'll get into that in just a moment. But not too much to report in terms of what we're seeing activity-wise getting into your overnight hours and into tomorrow. So looking at our futurecast, mainly clear. Again, we could see maybe potentially a little bit of cloud cover as we get into the later evening hours and even into tomorrow. That sun expected to pretty much stick with us over the next couple of days. We won't see really a chance for some wet weather, at least at this point, until later half of the work and school week. So, of course, that sun needs to make a return as the kids head back to school and you head back to work. And of course, it couldn't really be with us the full time for the weekend, but hey, at least it's here and definitely enjoyable still. 18 degrees it is right now in Kitchener-Waterloo, 19 if you're in London, 18 if you are in Sarnia, and just slightly cooler if you are by the water, sitting at around 16 or so in Goderich this evening. So our expected high was 19 degrees today. We have not hit that at this point. At this point, I'm not sure we're going to hit that as temperatures continue to go backwards, go down a little bit. So normal for this time is 21. So we were slightly below seasonal for this time of year. Record high was 34 degrees. That was on this day back in 1919. And then 0. That was our overnight record low. Tonight, we are expected to dip down to about 4 degrees, which is still below seasonal, as we should be sitting around that 10-degree mark or so. But the days definitely shorter. We are really noticing that, especially if you're an early riser. 6:53 a.m. is that sunrise, and that sun now setting at 7:45 p.m. So yes, we are getting closer and closer to that 7:30 mark. So clearing later this evening. So a little bit of those clouds that we're seeing out there should dissipate by the overnight hours. But then that's when we could also see some fog patches start to develop. So yes, if you're going to be on the roads early tomorrow morning or even later tonight, if maybe you've got a later shift, just keep an eye on that. 23 is our expected high for tomorrow. Sunny conditions in store, but then in the afternoon we could start to see a little bit more cloud cover start to roll in. That UV index, though, sitting at about a 6, so considered to still be high at this point. So over the next several days, look at that nice sunny stretch we get to enjoy, and sitting to the low to mid-20s, but the overnights, it is going to be cool and chilly. So if you're a fan of this and keeping the windows open as you sleep, well, good news for you, but it should warm up just slightly when we hit Friday. Overnight low expected to go back to the double digits there. So warming up just ever so slightly. Lambton, Kenton, Essex, a nice sunny stretch in store for you as we look ahead to the week right until about Friday. 30% chance of showers with a high of 27 degrees expected there. And Southern Georgian Bay, mix of sun and cloud as we look ahead to your Wednesday. High of 23, slightly warmer for you in terms of overnight lows. By Thursday, though, it could dip down back to 8 degrees overnight, but at least you have some sunshine to enjoy for the day. And here's tonight's weather. Watch your picture. You may have noticed the full moon last night. And you know, when you woke up this morning, I noticed it this morning. It was incredible. So a stunning shot sent to us from Bruce in Guelph. Bruce says it was a cool, clear evening. Perfect to grab this shot. And yes, it was perfect conditions to take a look at that, especially last night. So thank you so much for sending this and being tonight's weather watcher. And I'm curious what you used to shoot this, because it's an incredible shot.
That's got to be an SLR camera of some kind, because, you know, you try to grab that on any phone camera and it just looks like a blob.
It does.
And you get beautiful detail with those higher-end cameras, but also, believe it or not, with our older broadcast video cameras.
Yes.
You have to take the They don't build them like they used to anymore, do they?
They don't build them like they used to. But yeah, let us know, because it's an incredible shot. And I know we saw a couple others coming in through our email, and just stunning to see that.
Beautiful. All right, Alex, thank you.
Thank you.
And this is kind of related to the weather. Anyone saying that this summer felt hot? Well, you were certainly right. The weather station data from the University of Waterloo shows this was the hottest summer in the region in 70 years. CTV's Karis Mapp reports.
Cooler temperatures are now upon us, but for the bulk of summer, many struggle to beat the heat. And now we know why.
I don't think people have to be told that it was a very warm summer here in the region. In fact, it was the warmest summer since 1955. And of course, we're talking about meteorological summer, which goes for June, July, and August.
The hottest summer in 70 years, and the fourth hottest summer that the E.D. Soulis Weather Station at the University of Waterloo has recorded since 1914. Fall doesn't officially begin until September 22nd, but experts continue to reflect on the intense heat.
We saw 34 days over 30 degrees Celsius when, on average, typical summer, we only see 11. So you see, we saw 3 times more days above 30. And put all that together, and it was about 1.5 degrees above the average temperature for those 3 months.
The summer's high was 35 degrees on June 24th, marking the third highest reported temperature in the weather station's 25-year history. And none of that data includes humidex values.
The problem is it's harder to get the long-term humidity going back many, many years. So it makes it harder to get those records going back that long for the humidex, whereas temperature, we do actually have some solid records for it.
Air conditioning specialists say they also noticed the hotter season, leading to a busier year than usual.
It wasn't just busy 1 week, off for 2, busy a couple days. There was a sense of urgency pretty much all year, and it maintained consistency.
A mix of new unit installations and everyday calls for service.
A lot of people in a frantic, panic state. Stuff stopped working. It's 35 degrees outside. You really can't maintain comfort in your home when it's that hot.
Looking ahead, though, weather experts say the intense heat is not a precursor of what's to come.
Certainly going to the winter, that's going to depend a lot on weather patterns and an El Nino and a whole bunch of other global patterns. So much too early to talk about the winter.
Karis Mapp, CTV News, Kitchener.
On the Rock, announcing relief. Coming up, the Prime Minister visits Newfoundland with specifics about protecting Canadian industry from the impact of the trade war.
UA 527 are comprised of plumbers, steam fitters, and welders, and we work in everything from the water that you drink in the people's homes to the automobiles in your driveway, the manufacturers that produce them, and the nuclear plants that produce life-saving isotopes. The demand for tradespeople are really high right now. There's lots of work for plumbers, steam fitters, and welders in southwestern Ontario, in fact, across the country. Local 527 works with many different high schools through the OEAP program, where students come and they work in a co-op, and when they exit high school, they have an opportunity for an apprenticeship then. The advantage of working with a union through an apprenticeship program are you earn while you learn. There's an opportunity to make top dollar for all the plumbers, steam fitters, and welders in Local 527, a great benefit plan, and a pension you can retire on. The door is always open at Local 527. We are looking for people who would like to learn a new trade. We are looking for candidates that are looking to work hard, that would like to work with their hands, that are looking for a rewarding career. If you're looking for a career in the trades, go to ua527.com.
The Trades, brought to you by UA Local 527.
Prime Minister Mark Carney today unveiled specifics for billions of dollars in aid announced last week for Canadian industry. He was joined by the Fisheries Minister and the Premier of Newfoundland as he rolled out federal assistance for industries hardest hit by U.S. tariffs. CTV's Mike LeCouture reports.
Today we got some details about the billions of dollars worth of help provided for industries affected by tariffs in this months-long trade war.
$80 million of that funding will be dedicated to businesses right here in Atlantic Canada.
That money is being put aside for small and medium-sized businesses in the region and will be shared between the 4 provinces.
What we're allocating here is bigger than the relative share of population, the relative share of of GDP of the overall Canadian economy allocated that way.
It's part of a $1 billion fund to help those businesses affected by the tariffs. But some advocates point out businesses are still trying to repay pandemic loans, and they'd like to see relief in another form.
Perhaps a measure to actually eliminate all corporate income taxes on small firms until such time as we're on the other side of the trade war.
Ultimately, aluminum is a commodity.
In Montreal, Industry Minister Mélanie Joly sketched out some details around the sectoral help.
Quebec aluminum sector will get its fair share, and we believe that with the projects that are being discussed right now with Alcoa, with Rio Tinto, and with Alouette, it's hundreds of millions of dollars.
Both the financial aid and focus on using local aluminum for public procurement projects is being applauded by the industry, but it won't replace what's being lost in the trade war.
We can't just easily transfer what was sold in the US just here in Canada. The market size is smaller.
Minister Joly says the government is doing a full court press in negotiations with the U.S., adding the clerk of the Privy Council, Michael Sabia, was in Washington last week. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
And it's time now to recap the top stories we're following on this Monday night. Leanne Evans in studio with us for more details, and we're tracking that story from over the weekend that Hannah Schmidt's been reporting on, Leanne, about some luxury vehicles at a dealership in Kitchener that were set on fire.
Yeah, Tony, police believe it was an arsonist burning the high-end cars. Security video shows a person dressed in black carrying a blue jerry can and pouring liquid on and around the vehicles just before 4 a.m. Saturday. The business has offered a $10,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of whoever is responsible. This is the second time the dealership says they've been the target of arson, the first back in 2013. After nearly 40 years at the helm of Conestoga College, John Tibbet's time as president is coming to an end. The first steps are being taken in the search for a successor who they hope to have in place by next March. The announcement was made internally to college staff today. Tibbetts has been president of Conestoga College since 1987.
And Leanne, taking a look at what our digital team is working on. Lots of content up there. And I see what you're doing here. Getting us into a chat about animals. I love it.
Right?
It was a weekend for animal lovers, a pretty fun event in the region.
We love to highlight our animal stories.
We do.
You know?
Yeah.
And there's great video up on our website, especially if you like dogs, because it was Waterloo Region's biggest dog pool party of the year. Hundreds of pups gathering at Kitchener's Kiwanis Park. Look at that cutie. It was the annual Dash and Splash event, raising funds for the Kitchener-Waterloo Stratford Perth Humane Society. So, yeah, photos, video. We've got a full article on it. If you want to read it, watch it, check it out, ctvnewskitchener.ca. Always such a great event, Tony, and a great way to raise money for the animals over at the Humane Society.
I'll bet Ruby would have loved that.
Oh, Ruby would have loved that one.
If you'd gone to that this weekend, yeah. She would have been in heaven. Okay.
Yeah, that's like all the friends playing.
For sure. Big play date. Thanks, Leanne.
Thank you.
Homemade, meaningful, and all made in Guelph. Rare Olive is putting a personal touch on jewelry. On this week's Made Right Here, we take you inside the business where every piece tells a tale.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm the owner-operator here at Rare Olive, and we make wooden jewelry and accessories. We got into jewelry because the design phase you can get back to more often. So for seasonal collections, we get to be creative. Wood is a unique material for jewelry, and it's one that's eco-friendly. So we wanted to utilize that in our pieces. So we do anything from earrings, necklaces, rings, even hair accessories, tie clips, cufflinks, something for the guys too. We have kind of a modern minimalist style that isn't as common with wood. Wood is considered usually more rustic. This way we kind of have that contrast, something unexpected. So a lot of people like supporting local, and we found they want something unique, something that, you know, is going to pair with their outfits. Wood is nice in that it's a neutral color palette, so it's easy to style with a lot, and it's also lightweight, so it's nice and easy for the summertime, kind of beachy boho vibes in terms of style. Looks great with linen, your rattan bags. It's going to match a lot of your already brown and black accessories, so it's a nice alternative to pair with gold or silver. You don't always have to be wearing kind of something blingy. You can dress it up or dress it down and wear it casually as well. I've had some people even say that they don't wear jewelry, but they're apt to give this a try because it's something that's not too fancy. They could see that in their everyday lifestyle. I've always had an interest in fashion myself and finding personal style, so bringing that aspect of design into a wearable piece has been an interesting avenue for me. When you see someone that just lights up at your booth or gets so excited to see something different that suits them and their personal style, it kind of reminds us of our why and why we're doing it.
Well, the stars have been shining on the streets of Toronto for TIFF's 50th anniversary. And coming up, CTV's Andrea Case was at a special event today honoring Black excellence in film. This is day 5 of the Toronto International Film Festival, and excellence in the Black community was honored at a special brunch this morning. CTV's Andrea Case was there.
Unbothered, like our ancestors did, still we rise.
The 3rd annual Black Excellence Brunch held at RBC House and sponsored by Tourism Jamaica honored those who are making a difference in the film world right here at home. Marcia John Greenwood is the VP of People and Culture for TIFF.
Creating room and space for our community to come together allows them to, fulfill and ideate and think about the things that they've been had in their head, but can actually share it.
One of those recognized, Planet Africa. 30 years ago, the event, platform, and party was started to give the community a home.
It's everything. As a Black filmmaker, you want to see your peers, you want to celebrate your peers, you want to see your friends, get a chance to just reconnect with them and celebrate, lift them up. So that's why I always come.
Director Hubert Davis's film Youngblood had its world premiere at TIFF on the weekend. The Black Excellence Brunch is a much sought after ticket. It gives people a chance to mix and mingle and have a bit of a party early in the morning. But perhaps the contacts they make, the friendships they build, will lead to work in the industry one day. Andrea Case, CTV News.
And I love our sparkling CTV mic flashes there for TIFF, looking very good. All right, thanks, Andrea. Let's check in now with the national news team to find out what's coming up later tonight.
Tonight, an Ontario City Councillor accused of chilling threats.
Any public figure has no hope of protecting their voice.
The claims of a cloned voice that could reveal an even more disturbing reality. Later on CTV National News.
Many areas still in the upper teens as we wrap up your Monday evening. We'll take a look at how the morning is looking and wake up weather coming up after the break.
All right, let's join Leanne one more time with a look at what's coming up later tonight. Leanne.
Tony, a man from Dufferin County is facing more than 3 dozen charges after police say they seized thousands of dollars worth of fentanyl and other drugs during a traffic stop in Guelph. Also, remember Small Fry, the kitten who was found abandoned on the side of the road in Wellington County? Well, he spent the last month recovering at the Guelph Humane Society, and we can now share that he has found his happy tail. We'll bring you more on his adoption tonight. Tony.
Leanne, the good animal news just doesn't stop.
Yeah,
I love
it really doesn't.
We are here for it. Okay, thank you, Leanne. That's so cool. You know what's funny? Alexandra Hollick sits right beside me in the newsroom, and I heard her say small fry this afternoon. I thought she was talking about going and getting food for everybody.
That sounds good.
I forgot about this story.
I know.
Can't wait to see it tonight.
Oh, it is a sweet one, so
All right.
really looking forward to that.
And another cool night in the offing before we get some higher overnight lows later in the week.
Yeah, so cool overnight. We should be getting down to about 4 degrees or so. So chilly, and a little bit of a chilly start to the day as well. By 6 a.m., we're going to be sitting at 5 degrees, but clear conditions, which is pretty nice. And then we should start seeing that sun shine and sticking with us pretty much throughout the day. By 10 o'clock, we should be hitting around 15 degrees or so. But yes, nice to see another day filled with sunshine. This is how it should be. Maybe a little bit warmer, but I'm not going to complain.
I think the reason I thought it was warmer today is because the sun was hitting me at the right time. When I saw the almanac, I was like, we only got up to 19.
Yes.
The sun makes a difference.
Teens, I know.
Well, finally for us tonight, moose are majestic animals, rulers of their domain, but occasionally they do venture into our world and they quickly become the center of attention. That's the case in northeastern Austria, where this moose showed up nearly 3 weeks ago. Emil, as he's been named, was spotted in the city of St. Polten on the weekend, and sightings of the animal have drawn curious onlookers.
Yeah, so wildlife officials are urging people to avoid feeding him or approaching him for photos and videos. Moose aren't native to Austria either. It's believed that Emil came from Poland via the Czech Republic.
Ooh.
Yeah, so Austria's northern neighbor. But I'm sure that was quite a sight to see, especially just wandering around the village there.
Absolutely. Growing up near Algonquin Park, moose sightings were not uncommon for me, but right in the middle of town like that makes you look twice.
Yeah, I can't say that I saw too many moose.
Not too many. All right, that's our time. Thanks for joining us. Just a reminder, football tonight. We will be on after CTV National News a little bit later this evening, so we'll see you then. Have a good night.
Take care.